This mother installed a camera in her baby's nursery. She thought it was just for peace of mind. But what it recorded at 3:17 in the morning made her scream so loud, the neighbors called the police. 3 dogs, 1 baby, and footage that would haunt her forever. What happened in that room changed everything this family believed about love, protection, and the creatures we share our homes with. Before we reveal what the camera captured, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss another powerful story like this one. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from right now. Jennifer and Marcus Thompson had been married for 6 years before their miracle finally arrived. Baby Ethan, born 3 weeks early, weighing just 5 pounds. The doctor said he was fragile. His lungs needed time. His immune system was still developing. Every cough made Jennifer's heart stop. Every sneeze sent Marcus running for the thermometer. They had 3 dogs. A German Shepherd named Zeus, a Golden Retriever named Bella, and a Husky named Shadow. These dogs had been their family for years. Their companions through infertility treatments. Their comfort through 2 miscarriages. Their joy when the world felt empty. But the moment Ethan came home from the hospital, everything changed. The pediatrician's words echoed in Jennifer's mind every single day. Keep him away from the animals. His immune system can't handle it. One infection could be devastating. So they made the hardest decision of their lives. The dogs were banned from the 2nd floor. Permanently. A baby gate at the stairs. The nursery door always locked. The rule was absolute. No exceptions. No compromises. The dogs that had once slept in their bed now slept in the basement. The dogs that had once been their children were now treated like threats. For 4 months the rule held. For 4 months, Jennifer believed she was protecting her son. But she had no idea what was really happening in that house. What those 3 dogs were planning. What the camera would eventually reveal. And it all started on a night she would never forget. But here's what Jennifer didn't know. The nursery door lock had been broken for 3 days. And the dogs had figured it out before she did. The lock had jammed on a Tuesday. Marcus noticed it but forgot to fix it. Life with a newborn was chaos. Sleep deprivation. Endless feedings. Diaper changes at 2 a.m. The broken lock fell to the bottom of the priority list. Jennifer didn't even know about it. She assumed the door was secure every night when she put Ethan to sleep. He was wrong. Meanwhile, something strange was happening with the dogs. Zeus, the German Shepherd, had stopped eating properly. He would carry his food bowl to the bottom of the stairs and just sit there staring up. Bella, the Golden Retriever, had started howling at exactly 3 a.m. every single night. A mournful sound that made Jennifer's skin crawl. Shadow, the Husky, had become obsessed with the baby gate, pawing at it, whimpering, pressing his nose through the bars. Marcus thought they were just adjusting. Jennifer thought they were jealous. Neither of them understood what was really happening. These dogs weren't angry. They weren't resentful. They were desperate. Desperate to reach the tiny human they had only glimpsed from a distance. The tiny human whose cries they heard through the walls. The tiny human they had already decided belonged to them. Jennifer installed the nursery camera 2 weeks before that night. She wanted to monitor Ethan's breathing. The pediatrician had mentioned something about SIDS risk, and the fear had kept her awake for days. The camera connected to her phone. Night vision. Motion alerts. Sound detection. He checked it obsessively at first. Then as exhaustion took over, she started checking less. Sometimes not at all. That Friday night, Marcus was working late. A deadline he couldn't miss. Jennifer put Ethan down at 8 p.m. She watched him on the camera for 20 minutes. Peaceful. So safe. She went to bed at 10 p.m., setting her phone on the nightstand. The motion alerts were on, but her phone was on silent. She didn't hear the first notification at 11:47 p.m. She didn't hear the second one at 1:23 a.m. She didn't hear the third one at 3:17 a.m. By the time she woke up, the camera had recorded over 6 hours of footage. 6 hours that would shatter everything she thought she knew. If you're curious about what those dogs did in that nursery, stay with us. Because what comes next will leave you speechless. And if you're enjoying this story, hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss the most powerful part. At exactly 3:17 a.m., the nursery door slowly pushed open. 3 shadows entered the room. And the camera recorded every single second of what happened next. The footage began with silence. The nursery bathed in the green glow of night vision. Ethan's crib in the center of the frame. His tiny chest rising and falling. The mobile above him still. The room peaceful. Safe. Then the door moved. Not fast. Not sudden. A slow, deliberate push from the other side. An inch. Then wide enough for a nose to appear. Zeus entered first. The German shepherd moved like a ghost, his massive body somehow silent on the hardwood floor. His ears were forward. His eyes locked on the crib. He walked to the side of it and stopped. Just stood there. Watching. Waiting. Bella came next. The golden retriever was more cautious, her tail low, her head turning toward the camera as if she knew she was being watched. She circled the crib once, twice, then sat down on the opposite side from Zeus. Her eyes never left the baby. Shadow entered last. The husky padded straight to the crib without hesitation. He pressed his nose through the bars, sniffing the air around Ethan's face. The baby stirred slightly. Jennifer would later watch this moment 100 times. Her heart stopping each time. But the baby didn't wake. He simply turned his head toward the cold nose and settled deeper into sleep. For 11 minutes nothing happened. The 3 dogs just sat there, surrounding the crib like sentinels. Like guards. Like they were protecting something precious. The camera recorded every breath. Every twitch of an ear. Every slow blink of tired eyes. These dogs weren't hunting. They weren't threatening. They were watching. Then at 3:28 a.m. Ethan started to cry. It wasn't a loud cry. Just the soft, whimpering sound of a baby who had lost his pacifier. The sound that usually made Jennifer stumble out of bed in the darkness. But Jennifer was 2 floors away, her phone silent, her exhaustion absolute. She didn't hear it. The dogs did. Zeus moved first. He pressed his body against the crib bars, making a low rumbling sound deep in his chest. Not a growl. Something softer. Something almost like a hum. Bella stood up and pushed her nose through the bars, licking at the air near Ethan's tiny hand. Shadow began to make a sound Jennifer had never heard from him before. A quiet, rhythmic whine that rose and fell like a melody. The baby's crying stopped. Just stopped. His eyes were still closed. His body still. But his face had changed. The distress was gone. Replaced by something that looked almost like peace. The 3 dogs exchanged glances. Then one by one they lay down around the crib. And they didn't move again for hours. But what happened at 5:43 a.m. would change everything. Because that's when Zeus did something that would make this mother fall to her knees. The footage continued through the darkest hours of the night. The dogs never slept. Not once. Their eyes would close briefly, then snap open at the slightest sound. A car passing outside. The house settling. Ethan's breathing changing slightly. Every time, all 3 heads would lift in unison. Every time they would watch. Wait. Then settle back down. At 4:12 a.m. Ethan began to fuss again. This time the crying was louder. The sound of a baby who was cold or hungry, or just needed to know he wasn't alone. Shadow stood up immediately. He pressed his entire side against the crib, letting his warmth radiate through the bars. Bella began her strange licking motion again, her tongue somehow finding the baby's tiny fingers through the spaces in the crib. Zeus never moved, but his humming sound returned, vibrating through the floor like a heartbeat. The crying stopped within 2 minutes. The dogs had done what Jennifer couldn't do from 2 floors away. They had comforted her son. But it was what happened at 5:43 a.m. that would break this mother completely. The footage showed Ethan waking up. Not crying this time. Just awake. His eyes open in the darkness, reflecting the faint green glow of the night vision. He was looking around. Searching. His tiny hands reaching toward something he couldn't quite grasp. Zeus stood up slowly. The German shepherd, all 90 pounds of muscle and fur, walked to the side of the crib with a gentleness that seemed impossible for his size. He pressed his face against the bars. And Ethan reached for him. The baby's tiny fingers found the dog's nose first. Then his fur. Then his ear. Ethan grabbed hold and didn't let go. And Zeus, this dog that Jennifer had feared was too big, too strong, too dangerous for her fragile son, did something extraordinary. He stayed perfectly still. For 17 minutes he didn't move a single muscle. He let this tiny human hold on to him, pull at his fur, explore his face with clumsy fingers. His eyes were closed. His breathing slow. He was giving this baby something Jennifer hadn't realized he needed. He was giving him touch. Connection. The warmth of another living creature. At 6:01 a.m., Bella jumped into the crib. Jennifer would later scream when she saw this part. Her worst fear realized on a screen. But the footage showed something different than disaster. Bella didn't land on the baby. She landed beside him, curling her body around his feet, creating a barrier of warmth and softness. Ethan's legs kicked with what looked like excitement. His hands released Zeus's ear and reached downward, finding Bella's golden fur instead. At 6:07 a.m. Shadow joined them. The husky squeezed into the crib with impossible care, positioning himself near Ethan's head. He lay his chin on the mattress just inches from the baby's face. Ethan turned toward the warmth and pressed his cheek against Shadow's fur. 3 dogs. 1 baby. Wrapped together in a crib that was never meant to hold them. And then Ethan laughed. The camera had audio. Jennifer would play this sound over and over, tears streaming down her face each time. Her son's first real laugh. Not the gas bubbles the books talked about. A real, joyful, delighted laugh. And it happened at 6:12 a.m., surrounded by the 3 animals she had forbidden from ever touching him. The dogs' tails started wagging in unison. The room filled with the sound of a baby's joy and the soft thumping of happy dogs. This is the part of the story where everything changes. If this is touching your heart, take a moment to like this video and leave a comment about your own pets. And stay with us because what Jennifer did when she saw this footage will shock you even more. At 6:23 a.m. Jennifer's alarm went off. She reached for her phone. And the first thing she saw was a notification. Motion detected in nursery, 47 alerts overnight. Her blood went cold. Jennifer's hands were shaking as she opened the camera app. Her mind was racing through every terrible possibility. Had someone broken in? Had something fallen in the crib? Was her baby hurt? The live feed loaded. And Jennifer screamed. She saw the crib. He saw her baby. And she saw 3 massive shapes surrounding him, pressing against him, their bodies covering almost every inch of space. She threw off the covers and ran. Down the stairs, past the broken baby gate that the dogs had somehow pushed aside, up to the 2nd floor down the hallway. She burst through the nursery door, ready to fight, ready to save her son from whatever was happening. And then she stopped. Ethan was awake. His eyes were bright. His cheeks were flushed with warmth. And he was smiling. Not crying. Not distressed. Smiling the biggest smile she had ever seen on his tiny face. His hands were buried in Shadow's fur. His feet were kicking against Bella's side. Zeus was standing guard at the edge of the crib, his massive head turning toward Jennifer with an expression that almost looked like pride. Jennifer's legs gave out. She sank to the floor, her back against the wall, her hand over her mouth. The tears came before she could stop them. Not tears of fear. Tears of something else entirely. Something she couldn't name yet. Marcus found her like that 20 minutes later. He had come home early, seen the broken baby gate, heard her sobbing from upstairs. He ran into the nursery expecting the worst. Instead he found his wife sitting on the floor, crying while their baby giggled in a crib full of dogs. "Jen, what happened? Is he okay?" She couldn't speak. She just pointed at her phone, still clutched in her trembling hand. Marcus took it. He opened the camera app. He pressed play on the overnight footage. For the next 30 minutes they watched together. They watched the dogs enter the room. They watched them stand guard. They watched them comfort their son when he cried. They watched Zeus let Ethan hold his ear for 17 minutes without moving. They watched Bella curl around their baby's feet. They watched Shadow press his face against their son's cheek. They watched their baby laugh for the first time. When the footage ended, Marcus was crying too. He looked at the crib, where Ethan was now pulling at Zeus's ear again while Bella licked his toes and Shadow kept watch at the door. "We were wrong," Jennifer whispered. "We were so wrong about them." Marcus nodded slowly. They weren't trying to hurt him. They were trying to protect him. This whole time. Jennifer stood up on shaking legs and walked to the crib. The 3 dogs looked up at her. Not guilty. Not afraid. They looked at her like they were saying, "We told you. We've been telling you for months. He belongs to us too." But the most shocking part wasn't on the footage. It was what the veterinarian told them 3 days later, when they finally understood what these dogs had really been doing all along. 3 days after that night, Jennifer took all 3 dogs to the veterinarian. She wanted to make sure they were healthy. That the stress of being separated from the family hadn't affected them. What the vet told her changed everything. These dogs have been exhibiting pack protection behavior, Dr. Williams explained. The not eating, the howling, the obsession with getting upstairs. They weren't jealous of your baby. They were desperate to protect him. In their minds, he's the most vulnerable member of their pack. And you were keeping them from doing their job. Jennifer felt the guilt hit her like a wave. For months. She had kept them apart for 4 months. While her dogs suffered downstairs, unable to reach the tiny human they had already claimed as their own. There's something else, Dr. Williams continued. The behavior you described, the humming sound, the way they position themselves around the crib. That's called denning behavior. It's what dogs do with their own puppies. They were treating your son like their own baby. Jennifer shared the footage online that week. She didn't expect much. Maybe a few friends would find it touching. Maybe her family would comment. Within 48 hours, the video had 3 million views. Parents from around the world sent messages. Stories of their own dogs protecting their babies. Photos of cribs surrounded by loyal pets. The video was shared by animal rescue organizations, parenting blogs, news outlets. It became a symbol of something bigger than one family and 3 dogs. It became proof that love doesn't always come in the form we expect. That protection doesn't always look the way we imagine. That sometimes the ones we try to protect others from are the very ones who want to protect them the most. If this story has touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to our channel for more stories like this. And tell us in the comments, have your pets ever surprised you with how much they love your family? But this story doesn't end with a viral video. Because what happened 6 months later proved that the bond between Ethan and his 3 dogs was something nobody could have predicted. 6 months after that night, Ethan got sick. A respiratory infection that landed him in the hospital for 5 days. Jennifer and Marcus took turns staying with him, barely sleeping, watching monitors, praying for their son to recover. When they finally brought him home, the 3 dogs were waiting at the door. They hadn't eaten properly since Ethan left. The pet sitter said they had spent every night lying outside his empty nursery, whining. Jennifer carried Ethan inside and knelt down. The 3 dogs surrounded them immediately, noses pressing against the baby, tails wagging, soft sounds filling the air. Ethan, weak and pale from his hospital stay, reached out with both hands. He grabbed Zeus's ear with one, Shadow's fur with the other. And he smiled. That night, Jennifer didn't even try to keep them out. The dogs climbed into the crib one by one, surrounding Ethan like they had that first night. And Jennifer sat in the rocking chair, watching the camera feed on her phone, crying silent tears of gratitude. Today Ethan is 2 years old. He walks now. He talks now. His first word wasn't mama or dada. It was Zeus. The 3 dogs sleep in his room every single night. They follow him everywhere. They let him climb on them, pull their fur, use them as pillows. They are his guardians. His pack. His family. Jennifer learned something that night that every parent should know. Sometimes the best protectors are the ones we never expected. And sometimes the greatest love comes with 4 paws and a wagging tail. Did this story touch your heart? Would you let your dog sleep with your baby after seeing this? Tell us yes or no in the comments. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more incredible stories. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.